Have you ever felt invisible at work? Like you're always present, always watching, but no one ever really sees you? Maybe you know the feeling hearing secrets in the break room, noticing things others miss, realizing you're the last line of defense and no one even knows it. But what if, one night, you notice something that could destroy everything? Would you step up, even if no one believed you could make a difference? It was 2:14 a.m., and the office was silent except for the soft hum of servers and the rhythmic squeak of a mop. Sam, the night janitor, moved through the empty hallways, his domain when the world was asleep. He'd worked here for years, blending into the background, always polite, always reliable, always overlooked. But Sam noticed things. He noticed the new security cameras, the way the IT guys whispered about penetration tests, the unfamiliar badge left on a desk. He noticed tonight a blinking light on a server that wasn't there before, and he noticed the locked door to the server room was slightly ajar. He paused, mop in hand, heart pounding. He'd read enough online forums to know a cyber attack didn't always look like the movies. Sometimes it was just a tiny anomaly, a door left open, a cable unplugged, a screen left on. He stepped closer, curiosity and dread battling inside him. On the monitor, lines of code scrolled in a language he recognized from years of late-night self-study Python, but with commands he'd never seen. A message flashed, uploading payload, breach in 3 minutes. Sam's mind raced. He had no clearance, no authority, and no time. But he did have something no one else in the building had, a memory for every nook, every password on a sticky note, every routine. Would anyone ever believe the janitor could stop a cyber attack? The night was thick with tension. Sam's footsteps echoed softly as he moved cautiously through the dimly lit corridors. The hum of the servers was a constant reminder of the stakes. Every second counted. He recalled the times he'd overheard snippets of conversation frustrations about security loopholes, worries about insider threats, and the ever-present fear of a breach. Now, faced with the blinking warning on the screen, Sam felt a surge of responsibility. This was no longer just a job. This was a test of everything he'd learned in secret. Every late night spent poring over code and security manuals. He glanced around, ensuring no one was watching, then began typing furiously, trying to trace the source of the breach. His fingers flew over the keyboard. Heart pounding, sweat beading on his forehead, the countdown ticked down. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, ... Would he be able to stop the attack before it was too late? Or would the company's secrets be lost forever? The janitor who no one noticed was about to become the company's last hope. Sam was the kind of person people rarely noticed. He was quiet, polite, and always on time. He wore the same blue uniform. Every night, kept his head down, and did his job with care. But beneath that unassuming exterior was a mind hungry for puzzles. He'd grown up in a small town, the son of a single mother who worked double shifts. Money was tight, so Sam learned to fix things, radios, old computers, anything he could. Salvage from the dump. He spent nights on internet forums, teaching himself programming, cybersecurity basics, and the art of solving problems no one else wanted to tackle. He'd always dreamed of working in IT, but life had other plans. Bills needed paying, and the janitor job was steady. Still, he never stopped learning. He watched the IT team, memorized their routines, and sometimes, late at night, he'd practice on an old laptop he kept in the closet. People at work called him invisible. The IT guys barely nodded. The executives never learned his name. But Sam didn't mind. He liked the quiet, the order, the time to think. But tonight, as he stared at the code flashing on the server screen, Sam realized he might be the only person standing between the company and disaster. Asterisk, he remembered a conversation he'd overheard, something about a master password. A backup system, a failsafe only a few people knew. He'd seen the sticky note, half hidden under a keyboard, and committed it to memory out of habit. Now, with the breach countdown ticking, Sam had to decide. Would he risk everything, break protocol, and try to stop the attack himself? The weight of the decision pressed down on him. He was just a janitor, after all. No clearance, no authority, no backup. But the company's fate, and perhaps his own, rested on his shoulders. He took a deep breath, steeling himself. The hum of the servers filled the silence as he prepared to act. The digital clock on the server screen blinked like a heartbeat. 159, 158, 157. Sam's pulse raced in time with it. He wiped his sweaty palms on his uniform and forced himself to focus. The entire company's future was hanging by a thread, and the only person standing between disaster and salvation was the janitor no one ever noticed. He glanced over his shoulder. The office was silent, bathed in the blue glow of emergency lights. The hum of the servers was the only sound, a mechanical lullaby that had always comforted him during his lonely shifts. But tonight, it sounded like a warning. Sam's mind flashed back to the countless hours he'd spent in his cramped apartment, hunched over a battered laptop, learning the language of machines. He'd never had a teacher, just online forums, YouTube tutorials, and a stubborn refusal to give up. He'd always felt like an outsider, but here, in the server room, he was in his element. The code on the screen was a nightmare lines of Python, bash scripts, and encrypted payloads scrolling faster than he could read. The attackers were very good. They bypassed the company's firewalls, installed a backdoor, and were now uploading a ransomware payload that would lock every file in the system, unless a hefty sum was paid in cryptocurrency. Sam's first instinct was to call for help. But who would listen? Security would probably escort him out for being somewhere he wasn't supposed to be. IT was gone for the night, and the only person on duty at this hour was the sleepy security guard at the front desk, more interested in his phone than the cameras. He took a deep breath and remembered the sticky note he'd seen in the IT office weeks ago, half hidden, almost an afterthought. Master override 7R1D3R 2025. He'd committed it to memory, a habit from years of curiosity and caution. He typed a password into the system's emergency override prompt. The screen flickered, then asked for a second authentication biometric. Sam cursed under his breath. He'd seen the IT manager use a USB fingerprint scanner before. He scanned the room, heart pounding, and spotted it on the far side of the desk. He darted over, almost tripping on a tangle of cables, and plugged the scanner in. For a split second, he hesitated. He'd never tried to spoof a fingerprint before, but he remembered a trick he'd read online, using a piece of clear tape and graphite from a pencil to lift a print. He grabbed a pencil from the desk, pressed it to the scanner, and carefully applied the tape. The scanner's light blinked red, then green. The system unlocked. 110 left. A new window popped up. Emergency kill switch. Warning. This action cannot be undone. Proceed? Sam's fingers hovered over the keyboard. He knew that activating the kill switch would shut down every server in the building, potentially saving the data but also risking hours, maybe days of downtime. It was a nuclear option, but he was out of choices. He clicked proceed. Suddenly, the attacker's code fought back. The screen filled with warnings. Access denied. System compromised. Manual override required. The hackers had anticipated a kill switch and had set up countermeasures. Sam's heart hammered in his chest. He dove into the system's command line, searching for the root process running the ransomware. He recognized the signature of a well-known exploit, one he'd read about on a cybersecurity blog just last week. He typed furiously, running a script to isolate the infected process. 045. Left. The screen flashed red. Remote connection detected. Attacker attempting to regain control. Sam's hands shook as he typed a command to sever the remote connection. The attackers responded instantly, launching a denial-of-service attack to flood the network and distract him. He gritted his teeth, recalling another trick rerouting traffic through a backup subnet. He dove into the router settings, changed the configuration, and watched as the attack slowed. .thir seconds left. He returned to the kill switch window. The system demanded a final authorization code. Sam racked his brain, then remembered a conversation he'd overheard between two IT staffers about a fail-safe code stored in a physical safe in the server room. He scanned the room and spotted the small safe behind a stack of backup drives. He rushed over, heart pounding, and entered the default code he'd seen the IT manager use before his daughter's birthday, written on a sticky note, 0412. The safe popped open. Inside was a laminated card. Failsafe, 9X. QL7B2. He sprinted back to the terminal and entered the code. 10 seconds left. The system paused, processing. The screen went black for a moment, then flashed green. Breach neutralized. Payload deleted. All systems secure. Sam slumped in the chair, sweat pouring down his face, hands shaking. He'd done it. He'd stopped the attack with seconds to spare, but the ordeal wasn't over. The attackers, realizing their breach had failed, tried one last desperate move, triggering a self-destruct command to wipe the logs and cover their tracks. Sam saw the command, hit the system, and reacted. Instantly, he isolated the affected drives, disconnected them from the network, and initiated a backup restore from the cloud, a process he'd watched the IT team perform countless times. The servers whirred, the lights flickered, and for a terrifying moment, Sam thought the whole system would crash. But slowly, the screens returned to normal. The data was safe. The attack was over. He sat back, heart pounding as the adrenaline faded. The office was still silent, the world outside unchanged. To anyone else, it was just another quiet night. But to Sam, it was the night he'd saved the company from disaster. He looked around at the empty room, the blinking servers, the discarded sticky notes and coffee cups. He wondered if anyone would ever know what he'd done, if anyone would ever care that the janitor, the invisible man, had been the hero. He stood, wiped his hands on his uniform, and quietly began to mop the floor, as if nothing had happened. But inside he felt a quiet pride, a sense that for once, he had made a difference. The server room was quiet now. The digital storm finally calmed. Sam stood for a long moment, letting the adrenaline drain from his body. The blinking green lights on the racks seemed to pulse in time with his heartbeat steady, alive, safe. He exhaled shakily and wiped his brow with the sleeve of his uniform. He knew he should leave everything as it was, but his sense of duty and curiosity wouldn't let him. He checked the logs one last time, confirming that the breach had been neutralized, the payload deleted, and the attacker's remote connection severed. He even found traces of their digital fingerprints, IP addresses, fragments of code, usernames. He copied them onto a flash drive, thinking maybe, just maybe, someone in IT would care. Sam unplugged the fingerprint scanner, wiped down the keyboard, and tucked the failsafe card back into the safe. He closed the door, spun the dial, and made sure nothing looked out of place. Then, as quietly as he had arrived, he slipped out of the server room and back into the shadows of the office. The rest of the night passed in a surreal haze. Sam finished his rounds, emptying trash cans, wiping down desks, and refilling paper towels in the bathrooms. The normalcy of it all was almost comical. How could the world keep turning after what had just happened? But that was the way of things. For Sam, he was invisible. After all. Morning comes the sun rose over the city, painting the glass towers in gold and pink. By 7 a.m., the building was coming alive. The IT team arrived first, yawning and clutching coffee, ready for another day of routine, maintenance, and minor crises. They logged into their terminals and immediately noticed something strange. The system logs were full of alerts, failed login, attempts, blocked payloads, network reroutes. One by one, they realized what had almost happened. Hey, did anyone run an emergency shutdown last night? Why is the backup subnet active? Who the hell used the kill switch? The IT manager, a sharp-eyed woman named Priya, dug deeper. She found the traces Sam had left, the commands, the isolated drives, the restored backups. She frowned, piecing together the story. This was a real attack, she said quietly, and someone stopped it. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Security was called. The building's logs were reviewed. Cameras showed only one person in the server room during the critical window. Sam, the janitor. The head of security, a burly man named Mike, called Sam into the office. Sam's heart pounded as he walked down the hall, wondering if he was about to be fired or worse. Mike gestured for him to sit. Sam, were you in the server room last night? Sam nodded, trying to keep his voice steady. Yes, sir. I noticed. Something was wrong. The door was open and the screen was different. I just wanted to help. Priya joined them, holding the flash drive Sam had left on her desk. Did you do all this? She asked, scrolling through the logs. Sam swallowed. I tried. I remembered the override password. I saw the failsafe code in the safe. I didn't want the company to get hurt. There was a long silence. Mike and Priya exchanged glances. Finally, Priya smiled a real, genuine smile. You saved us, Sam. You saved the company. Sam blinked, stunned. I did? She nodded. Most people would have run. You stayed. You fought back. You're a hero. Sam felt a warmth in his chest he hadn't felt in years. For the first time, someone saw him not as a janitor, but as a person who mattered. Word spread quickly. Some people were skeptical. How could the janitor have outsmarted professional hackers? Others were grateful, shaking Sam's hand, clapping him on the back, offering to buy him coffee. The CEO called him into the executive suite. The room was all glass and chrome, a world away from the utility closets and mop buckets Sam knew so well. Sam, you went above and beyond, the CEO said, voice formal but kind. We owe you a debt. What can we do for you? Sam hesitated. He thought of asking for a raise or a job in IT, or even just a thank you. But in the end, he just smiled. Just keep the company safe, he said. That's all I wanted. The CEO nodded, respect in his eyes. Sam returned to his rounds, mop in hand, uniform still blue and unremarkable. But everything felt different. People greeted him by name. The IT team invited him to lunch. Even the security guard at the front desk looked at him with new respect. He still worked the night shift, still emptied the trash and wiped down the desks. But now, he walked the halls with his head a little higher, his steps a little lighter. He knew the truth. Sometimes, the heroes are the ones you never see coming. Sometimes, the person everyone overlooks is the one who saves the day. And as Sam made his way through the quiet, humming corridors, he smiled to himself, knowing that he would always be ready watching, listening and waiting for the next time. The world needed an invisible hero. Asterisk. The days that followed felt surreal for Sam. For the first time in years, people stopped him in the halls, not to ask for a spill to be cleaned or a light bulb to be changed, but to shake his hand, to say thank you, to ask, how did you know? The IT team, once aloof and insular, began inviting him to their morning stand-ups. The head of security, Mike, started greeting him with a respectful nod instead of a distracted wave. But the biggest change was inside Sam himself. He walked the halls with a new sense of purpose. He still wore the blue uniform, still pushed the mop bucket, but now he moved through the building with his head held high. He was still invisible to some, but he no longer felt unseen. One afternoon, Priya from IT found him in the break room. She handed him a small box. "Open it," she said, smiling. Inside was a new ID badge, this one with a silver border and the word consultant under his name. "We'd like you to join the security team. Sam, part-time, if you want. You see things the rest of us miss. We need that." Sam was speechless. He stared at the badge, then at Priya. "Thank you," he managed, his voice thick with emotion. She nodded. "You earned it." Sam accepted the offer, splitting his time between janitorial duties and helping the IT team shore up the company's defenses. He suggested simple changes, rotating passwords, securing physical access, running regular drills. The team listened. Incidents dropped. The company's security posture improved, but Sam never lost his humility. He still swept the floors, still emptied the bins, still greeted the night shift with a smile. He knew that heroism wasn't about glory or recognition. It was about doing what needed to be done, even when no one was watching. Sam's story became a quiet legend in the company. New hires heard about the janitor who saved the day. Posters went up in the break room. "If you see something, say something. Heroes come in all uniforms." The CEO mentioned him in a company-wide email, calling him a reminder that every role matters and anyone can make a difference. But for Sam, the real reward was knowing he'd lived up to his own values. He'd acted not for praise, but because it was right. He'd proven to himself most of all that you don't need a title or a corner office to be a hero. If you've ever felt invisible or doubted your own worth, remember Sam's story. Sometimes the world's greatest threats are stopped by the people no one expects. Sometimes the smallest voice makes the biggest impact. So next time you notice something off or see a chance to help, don't wait for someone else to step up. You never know whose day or whose world you might save. If you want to hear more stories of real-life grit, quiet heroism, and the power of the overlooked, join our squad. Click subscribe and never miss the next chapter. Because the next hero could be anyone. It could even be you.